We're going to try this again, ladies and gentlemen. It is episode 769 of Pop Culture Crisis. You can't gaslight me this time around. I can see the audio bars on the mixer moving. There's a firmware issue there. Guys, it is episode 769 of Pop Culture Crisis. We probably just lost a bunch of people with that shenanigans. Damn. But my name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please, this time again.
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. No idea what that was about. Hopefully no more sound issues today. We were just having a little bit of a sound issue yesterday, and we couldn't figure it out.
But that wasn't done. So yesterday was
good.
On the YouTube end. This was actually on the mixer end, because yesterday what happened was when I played back the audio yesterday, there was no issue, there was no distortion, there was no lag. So that was on the encoding end on YouTube. This time, I actually saw it on the mixer. I started talking, I started doing the intro, and I looked, and I'm like, no bars.
Okay.
And as soon as I sent it to you, I'm like, I'm going to let Mary speak, but I'm about to have to cancel this stream anyways. So,
damn it. Okay, well, what I was saying before we were so rudely interrupted by tech issues is that if any of you are here because you subscribed after watching me on IRL last night, welcome.
And these tech issues are not normal, we promise.
This isn't how it normally is on this show. We run a tight ship, I promise. Phil is also joining us today.
It was me that did it. Thank you.
It's Phil's fault.
It was my fault, and literally, I am the gremlin in crossing the wires today.
No, I thought we said we're just gonna blame Shane Cashman no matter what it is. If
the ghost that Shane Cashman brings by having that satanic show upstairs, right?
Yeah, it is.
Shane's show is upstairs in the attic. It is legitimately like the scary ghost stories show. And it's his fault that there are demons that haunt this house.
But to be fair, these issues are not normal, so we are good here today,
and not to
guys.
worry, any of the super chats that were sent on the previous stream, I still have them, so I'll read those when we get to it.
And the bar, we did not clear the cache, so
good.
we're good. Guys, we got a bunch of stuff to get into today, but before we get started, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you are new here and have not subscribed here yet already, please and thank you.
May I take 1 second and have everyone's attention? Tomorrow, our new record, Anti-Fragile, comes out. So literally tonight at midnight, right, 12:01 Friday morning, you can get it. Go to Spotify and pre-save the record, and then take a listen to it tomorrow. It's the first record that my band All That Remains has put out in 6 years, almost 7 years.
Go!
So I would appreciate if you guys would check it out. I don't normally do this kind of plugging. Usually I wait until the end of the show. Usually I'm very reserved about that kind of thing, but we haven't put out a record in a long time. This is the first one in, like I said, 7 years. It's a really great record. I'm really proud of it, so go do that. I'm done shilling now until the end of the show.
Mary, there's 20 there.
And I will just add, Phil's album name is Anti-Fragile, not Anti-Fragile.
Caribbean or Caribbean.
Sent us a 20. Mary was on fire last night in the Philcast IRL Uncensored show last night in regards to Vivek crashing out on social media.
That was a weird
I
one.
forgot whether that was during the main show or the after show, but yeah.
She like, not only was she like was she on it, she was like, the face that she was giving me was just like, you're so full of shit, Labonte. Pardon my French.
That was
great.
I think I just always look like that.
Yeah. No.
It wasn't meant anything.
We're talking about Zins, you're not.
People were asking whose fault the tech issues were. I will take fault, because what happened was I used to be very diligent about checking the audio every day. Remember we used to do like the test audio run every day. I did not do that today. So, the one time, when you finally stop running all of your checks and when you're not making sure that everything's up and running is the one day that things will go wrong. So
I tried to take the bullet for you too.
It's all good. Own up, guys. A bunch of stuff to get into today. Hit the like button on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Remember to share this live stream out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, the people that you like, the people that you don't like. If you have a mortal enemy, you should share it with them as well, because the best way to help channels like this grow is to share these things out with your friends and your family. Then they share them out. It's like one big multi-level marketing scam. So please go ahead and do that, guys. So what are we getting into today? Well, yesterday we decided to praise Lady Gaga because of her very, very strong positive reaction to making one of the worst movies ever in Joker 2, where she said, you know what? Sometimes you make art and it connects with people. Other times you don't. That doesn't make those people bad. It just means it didn't work. You move on and you try again. Amen. And as simple as that sounds, it's very, very hard for actors to do that. Well, we can't go 2 days in a row with being nice to someone because today, her and Madonna and other people are very, very mad at President Trump because of certain policies that he has enacted since he took office, you know, executive order barrage and all. So we'll get into all of that. We're also going to talk, Mary's very excited to talk about toxic mom culture online.
Yeah, online I've noticed this trend where moms are telling women without children to never start families.
Yeah.
And they are spreading all of this fear-mongering content about how it ruined their lives and crying online instead of taking that to their loved ones. And I have several examples I want to talk about. And also just the weird, toxic online mom-shaming culture in general.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. Also, Calendargate 2.0 is here. No, okay, it's not Calendargate this time. If you remember,
This one isn't hitting the same like last time.
No. I mean, it's very rare do you go home again. They've made another ultra-right conservative beer calendar. We'll get into it. There's much to be said. So if you guys are ready, we'll get started. Mary, are you ready?
Let's go.
Phil.
Let's go for the cringe.
All right, so I'm not gonna lie, this is a weird one. So last night I saw this video of Cenat bullying a robot, and I was actually surprised what a reaction it actually managed to evoke for me. It was like just making something even the slightest bit anthropomorphic made it feel very real to me. The fact that it looks even mildly humanoid makes you go, bro, why are you bullying that thing?
Yeah, so Cenat and his friends on a stream decided to collectively bully and abuse a humanoid robot that Kai purchased for $70,000. This is not the Tesla Optimus robot. That is not on the market yet. It's some other copycat version.
I want to know what kind of robot it is.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure what brand or company made this, but it looks similar to the Optimus, just smaller in size, and it's programmed to regain its balance if you push it over, and it can walk around
but it looks
on its
sad
own.
when it gets pushed
From
over.
X1 Technologies.
But like we're
apparently.
just programmed to see human faces and see human traits in things that are not human. So when people saw this video, they either felt bad for the robot,
I did,
or they felt like this is a bad sign for the way that humans are going to treat each other after humanoid robots are widespread and on the market. That's something that we were just talking about last night.
Here we go.
as
Let's
well.
watch the video.
It starts running away at the end.
Nigga, you a fucking robot, nigga.
Did you say the N-word?
Yes, he did.
Oh, shit. Oh, my bad, my boy. You up there, nigga? Nigga, your mom.
Let him go. Let the robot go.
He's trying to escape.
Where your mom's at, my boy? Where your mom? Oh! What the fuck was that? Wait, he's extra heavy, right? Oh! Watch out!
Oh my gosh.
Bro, this is 70,000, bro.
Okay.
So you can see at the end of the video, it looked like the robot was trying to run out of the room and escape. I have no idea.
There is a reason why scenes of bullies in school are so powerful in TV shows and movies, right? Like, you watch those scenes and you're like, wow, that seems far-fetched.
I didn't like that.
No, neither did I.
How
I didn't
do
like it
you-
at all.
Do you feel bad for the robot?
I don't think that it's that I feel bad for the robot. I don't like it. Seeing people behave like that.
Yeah.
It's the behavior of Kai and
Yeah.
his friends that I dislike. It's like, because it's a humanoid form and they're like bullying it. It's like, I'm like, why are you like, why, like what? It makes me feel like, would you do that to an animal? Because the animal's lower than, like a lower life form than you. Like, I know this isn't alive and it doesn't have feelings, but those are the same kind of arguments that people make about, like, oh, animals, it's fine to treat animals and however, or back before you actually had humane treatment, like, of animals and stuff. Like, I like the idea of eating grass-fed beef and stuff that's in actual pastures. I don't eat meat that's like from a factory farm if I can avoid it, right? Like I get Good Ranchers meats from you know, and I avoid doing that kind of stuff, like, because I do think that, like, yes, it's natural to eat animals, but that doesn't mean that you have to support like factory farms, which are kind of brutal, and you know that like animals do have feelings, even though they're not like as developed as human beings. You can watch, you know, cows when they're little cows, they still play, and they like they'll play with balls. Like deer, I saw a video of a deer like kicking around a ball into a goal. Like
I remember that,
and it was like, you know, oh cool, you know, it's like they're granted, I'm not saying they're the same thing as humans.
A bit of imprinting, because then it like jumps around, but it doesn't understand that it just scored a goal. But you in your head think,
well, but it understood. It doesn't understand the goal, but it understands that it achieved something that it was aiming to do. It doesn't get the context of a ball game.
Yeah. We have it 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. Gee, I've always wanted to be part of a multi-level marketing scam. Do I get 10% of the super chats of all the new members that I bring in?
Link in bio.
Nice.
Yeah, we promise it.
Link in bio.
Here were some of the takes. One person said, we shouldn't confuse robots as having feelings, but I'm deeply skeptical of people who delight in having something to abuse.
Yeah.
That's what's most disturbing about the video. I personally, unlike Brett, do not feel sympathy for the robot. It's a robot. People are very confused about that and the nature of consciousness and sentience. But I think it's a big red flag that they take such delight in having something that seems human, which is powerless, so that they can hurt it. And I think that the prevalence of humanoid robots, that's true. That's just the way that they perceive it, though. With the growing prevalence of humanoid robots going to market and more people having these in their homes or their workplaces, though, I feel like it's going to degrade human interaction more so than anything. It's going to, I think it is going to dehumanize real, actual people if you can interact with something that looks like a human this way.
That's really interesting, because of the way that a human being interacts with an inanimate, well, I mean, it's animated, so with a non-sentient thing, it makes the human less human.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that they went to some effort with the Tesla Optimus to make sure you can tell with your eyes it's not human, but it still has humanoid bodily form. And that seems enough for them to decide we're just going to like bully it because they had that desire in them in the first place. So that's really the problem here.
Yeah, I guess it's fair to point out that it's not about what happens to the robot. It's about the behavior of the three people who seem like it's okay to do that. Though I will say that the fact that the robot has a vaguely humanoid shape can be a powerful image, because what you see is the actual head bowed as if it's trying to not make eye contact with you. And it's impossible for humans to look at that and not see it. Obviously, we've been kind of programmed over the last 50 to 60 years with movies and TV to look at things this way. The first thing I thought of is if they had if that thing looked like C-3PO, that he'd be getting death threats, because Star Wars, like old school Star Wars fans, would probably be really pissed, right? But there have been a lot of TV shows and movies that have addressed the idea of human consciousness, and certainly if you ever saw the show Dollhouse, where they can wipe a person's brain and they basically become a raw shell that you can then imprint different consciousnesses on. But when they don't have a consciousness uploaded to them, they're basically docile like children and need to be led around. That's what I think of when I think of stuff like this, is the things that can go wrong when the wrong type of people treat something that feels less than human in a specific way.
This was another viral take. Not to be dramatic, but this is a prime example of how men crave power just so they can abuse. They acquired an expensive marvel of technology, and their first instinct is to be violent to it because it has no self-defense mechanism or rights. I don't know about this take, because it seems like they're arguing for the robot to have rights.
Isn't she doing exactly the female version of exactly what those guys are doing in the male version? She's looking for social pressure or social what's the word I'm looking for? Looking to shame these guys for their behavior, which is the exact thing that a woman would do, like as opposed to the men exercising their male dominance and power. And what does a woman do?
Thank you. A woman dances. I like my suitcase.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't like this one?
No.
We were waiting for your
Phil
verdict.
doesn't like his suitcase.
I mean,
I guess you don't like your
I
suitcase.
couldn't really make it out too. You don't hear it in here, and when you take your headphones off, it just sounds like an exploding speaker. It's so loud. But yeah, I just thought it was funny. Like she is doing she's doing the female version of what she's accusing him doing the male version of. So, anyways,
the main vice that plagues women these days is misplaced compassion. That's what I've observed. It's like women placing this natural compassion and nurturing instinct they have onto something that it shouldn't have. You know, like something like a robot or someone across the globe from you.
And so I don't disagree with your take about it's not a human, it's a robot. But I think in the once you mentioned, the context of it makes people less human. Maybe it is important that we treat robots with respect and with what we would consider kindness because of what it'll do to us if we don't.
Yes, exactly. I think that if your instinct is to bully or hurt something that you perceive as a defenseless creature, there's something wrong with you. There's nothing inherently dignified about a robot, of course, but there's something undignified about your behavior in relation to the robot. And you've seen, have you seen car guys? They treat their cars like their most prized possession and clean it obsessively and fondle it.
Bro,
and they name their cars. People name ships, and they treat these things that we use with respect.
I haven't named my Tesla, but I've washed it more times than I've washed my Jeep.
And that's a good edifying thing for you to do, even though the car doesn't need you to do it or doesn't deserve for you to take care of it because it's inanimate, right? But it's good for humans to respect the things that belong to them, especially if it appears human-like in some way.
Yeah,
if
even
you're
more
going
so,
to abuse something that just appears human-like, you will treat real humans in a worse way.
That's another thing. Like, if you treat a robot like that, a $70,000 robot, mind you, treat it badly like that, then I don't imagine that you treat anything good, you treat anything well. Yeah.
This is why I find the prospect of humanoid sex robots so horrifying. It's
well, we already have humanoid sex. Not humanoid. We already have sex robots.
But I mean, once those become more and more advanced, and once they are developed to the point where they resemble real human beings even more, and maybe when they're powered with AI, where they can speak to you and react to you, that is not going to be a good thing for the people who own them, and it's not going to be a good thing for society at large, because it's teaching human beings a certain pattern of behavior. We have another 20 from Zach Hates YouTube. Mary, you're a great addition to IRL and bring a lot to the convo. Last night, you were fully engaged and definitely kept Phil on his toes and furthered the conversation. Please consider going on more, Brett as well.
I tell her the same thing. She's like,
Thank
I'm
you.
just a girl.
Okay, I don't know if I said it like that.
No, she doesn't say it exactly like that. I'm making jokes at her expense, but.
All right, let's go on. Let's go on to the next topic.
An obese female rapper named Dank Damas is suing Lyft for millions of dollars for size discrimination. She called a Lyft driver who showed up and then refused to give her a ride due to her size, saying that she was too big to fit into the car. And now she has launched an entire lawsuit and media campaign against the company, causing a huge scandal for them. And in fact, they're placating her, and they are apologizing to her for the way that she was treated.
Look, I was never a Lyft fan in the first place. I would tend to take Uber, but if they lay down for this terrible example of a human being, then I am not going to ever take a Lyft, and I'm going to hope for the ascendance of Tesla taxis soon, so that way Lyft goes out of business.
Well, let's take a look at the video from the incident where
Let's
she's
not.
telling off this driver.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What? For what? What you saying?
Yeah, I got no space in
Chill.
my car is small.
I can fit in this car.
No, believe me, you can.
Yes, I can.
Believe me. So, I'm sorry.
What I'm gonna do about my money?
I'm gonna cancel you. You're not gonna be charged.
So you telling me I can't get in the lift because I can't fit in your car?
Yeah, you need to order a bigger car.
What make you think I can't fit in the car?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
She's
What makes
literally
you
out
think
of
I
breath.
can't fit in this car?
Because the car is small in the back. Believe me.
My best friend has a Benz that's newer than this that I can fit in. That's the same size.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't.
So you really telling me I'm too big to get in your car? So I gotta order another lift.
Yeah. And to be more specific with you, I got very tired tires.
What I got to do with your tires?
Yeah,
What do you
and
think?
You have no space. I have
How you
no
know I don't have no space?
Yeah, I got no space in the back. Believe me.
How do you know I don't have no space?
Because I tried before.
Huh?
Because I've been in this situation.
So every big person you turn down because they can't fit in your car?
Yeah, because they need to order the Uber XL return.
No, I don't never have to order Uber XL.
You know, I'm really sorry.
What's your name?
Abraham Travis.
Okay.
Take picture of
Nope.
So
What?
this guy's probably about to lose his job, and it's because of her turning this into a viral moment. She said, "Am I wrong? At Lyft. What y'all got to say about this? Y'all's driver discriminated against me. I just feel like y'all treat big people like shit, like we don't belong here." And now she's going to the news and making herself into a victim. We have a 20 from Evan Perry. Even if she fits, the seatbelt won't. That is true. That is literally illegal. So she would be forcing him to break the law in his car. Not to mention the fact that she legitimately wouldn't be able to fit from the size of her. She's like 500 pounds.
Yep.
So, I mean, I saw some pictures of her. She's morbidly obese. And yeah, you can't really function in society in a normal way when you're that size. And she's making demands for everyone else to cater to her, making demands of companies and individuals to adapt to her rather than taking care of herself. So then Lyft has responded to her claim of discrimination, saying, "We're disheartened to look at this driver's unacceptable behavior. Please DM us at your earliest convenience for additional support. We would like to address this as soon as possible." And here we see a video of her with her lawyers, with the media.
Yep.
Shameful.
Let's take a look at that.
Here we go. There's really no audio, so
But she's doing like an interview.
she's doing an interview with them and says it just gives the Lyft
Yeah.
post that you saw there, but there's no audio to this.
Yeah.
But
So the Lyft
Yep.
executives are hearing her claims.
Yep. And that guy lost his job.
I'm
That's
assuming that he will if he hasn't already, but I haven't heard anything about
Mm.
him.
I mean, I saw posts about it, but no articles about it.
The driver identified himself in the video as Ibrahim in the viral clip, and he even was being too nice about it.
Yeah.
It's not like this guy got out of his car and started cursing her out and demeaning her. He was genuinely apologetic, but realistically, it's just get a bigger car or something. I don't know, or just lose the weight. But she said, "I've been in cars smaller than that. I just want them to know that it hurt my feelings." She describes herself as a BBW and a paid fat queen in her posts. And she declared that she has weighed up to 554 pounds and then updated people to say she weighs 489 pounds. At a certain point, there's almost no difference. Thank you.
Mary likes the song.
I like my suitcase and I like the song. And
Barron Trump thanks you.
statement from a spokesperson of Lyft here. Lyft says, "We unequivocally condemn all forms of discrimination. We believe in a community where everyone is treated with equal respect and mutual kindness. Our community guidelines and terms of service explicitly prohibit harassment or discrimination."
There was no
None of that
harassment.
stuff happened.
So they have completely taken her side, basically. And she's getting rewarded and celebrated for creating this victim narrative.
See, this is why robots and robot taxis are going to be good. Like things like robots. You can't say, oh, the robot was hurtful.
Yeah, there's no social benefit to firing the robot.
There's no feelings in the robot. The robot's just going to be like, you're too fat.
The feelings don't matter anyways, because this guy was completely apologetic and nice, and yet he's still being called discriminatory and bad.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter.
They'll try to say that it's programmed to discriminate, but the fact of the matter is, you're going to be like, look, man, there is a weight limit, and you break it. Sorry.
There was also this video.
Also, I mean, I thought that they had the ability as an Uber or Lyft driver to
refuse service?
Refuse
For
service
any reason.
for any reason.
Yeah, for any reason.
This was
Oh my god.
Is that her?
apparently.
We talked last night about this, Mary.
I know.
It is good to shame fat people because we want to have fewer fat people. 40% of America are morbidly obese, and 75% of Americans are overweight.
What constitutes morbidly obese?
That.
Okay.
I don't know.
There
know
is
exactly.
there's
yeah.
a BMI cutoff after just being clinically overweight where you reach obesity. But if you look like this, if you have, if you are morbidly obese, you don't respect yourself. So how can you expect other people to respect you?
Listen, gentlemen, you are giving it up too easy. A woman like that, I still believe that she can get laid too easy. Stop it. Stop it.
That's true,
They
but it's usually
need-
by fetishists.
And those people need to stop it too. Stop it.
Yeah.
You're only making things worse. Stop it.
Here were some of the responses. If it don't fit, you must acquit. You're fat. Don't sugarcoat it because you'll eat that too. She needs a crane, not an Uber. She needs a forklift, not a
True.
lift. She should be using a U-Haul.
Ironically, that might be cheaper.
This is just so undignified. And I still think, if you've let yourself get to this point, you have no respect for yourself and can't expect anyone else in society to treat you with respect that you won't give to yourself.
There was also like another viral video recently of like a very large woman on a plane taking up 2 seats, going back and forth about whether she deserves to have 2 seats on the plane or not. And
they think they should have that stuff for free.
Yes.
They think that they should get free services and free products for being fat.
under the guise of be kind.
Yeah. No, and I don't care about that. I don't really care about niceties.
I've said this a couple times on IRL. The politics of nice are over. The idea that we are going to have a political opinion, or that one should have a political opinion because it is the nice thing to do, has got to stop, because our society cannot handle it. We need mature opinions, or we need mature people to behave as if there is a good outcome and a bad outcome that are both possible, and they're going to do the hard thing to get the good outcome as opposed to doing the easy thing, which will produce the bad outcome.
I agree.
I think Lyft needs to
Go under?
Yeah, I hope that they actually have to pay her hundreds of millions of dollars and lose money on this.
Oh God, now I'm torn, because I want Lyft to lose, but I want her to lose too. How do they both lose?
That guy sues both of them.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I don't know what he would sue them for. I mean, he'd sue them for what? Wrongful termination.
Yeah.
But sue her for I don't know.
Yeah, this is insane.
Harassment.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. Let's talk about Jesse Eisenberg. He thinks that the tech bros are doing it all wrong.
In a recent interview with Bill Maher, Jesse Eisenberg, who played Mark Zuckerberg in The Social Network, spoke out against tech bros. He says that the tech bros who are getting involved with politics, specifically ones like Zuckerberg or Bezos or Elon Musk, who got involved in Trump's campaign for presidency, don't actually care about people.
It was fine when it was Barack Obama. It was perfectly fine when they were giving money to Hillary Clinton, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hate these people.
But now it's different.
I absolutely hate these people.
So Bill Maher started out this interview saying, "You played Lex Luthor in the Superman movie, and it's interesting because I see Zuckerberg now at the inauguration, and he's right at the seat of power. You kind of played Lex Luthor as a tech bro, and you must have some feelings because you also played, famously, Mark Zuckerberg in The Social Network. What do you make of all that's going on with the tech bros?" And here's what Jesse Eisenberg said. "I look at it from a very specific perspective, which is, if you're so rich and powerful, why are you not just spending your days doing good things for the world? So it's hard for me to understand the specifics of what they're doing. You know, I married a woman who's this amazing activist. All she thinks about all day is how can I help the people who are most in need."
Well, he's not talking about what actually helps. He's talking about the good feeling you get from thinking about helping other people. Also, where does that money? What is the cutoff for that? You've made quite a bit of money working in Hollywood. Why are you spending any time whatsoever acting when you could be out spending your money helping other people?
So when I watch these incredibly powerful people, I just think, why are you not spending your day helping people? Why are you getting mired into this weird stuff I don't really understand, and taking privacy concerns away, hurting people who are already hurting marginalized people? I just can't understand that. So I'm not exactly thinking about them in politics. I'm just thinking, why are they not spending every day helping people?
The worst thing in the world is the people who tell everybody else what to do based on an arbitrary sense of their own personal morality. It is more infuriating than anything is when you tell other people how to spend their money.
Not that Jon Stewart said, "I was driving home, so I couldn't say anything till now." While I agree Kai and his friends looked to be taking too much pleasure in their actions, I see this as stress testing equipment. I feel the exact same with this as any GunTuber stress test video, or when Whistling Diesel, I literally destroyed a Cybertruck so bad it had to be towed back and repaired.
Well, then that's where the humanoid shape of it comes into play.
I don't really think it was a product review.
Though it would be really funny if then like it cuts to him and he's got like a clipboard and he's writing down notes.
Yeah, I disagree with that. Not because of what it says about the people doing the. It wasn't a stress test because any other stress test, there are things like baselines and there are things that they're doing that's methodical. They're actually taking down data. This was just this looked way more like people bullying something as opposed to actually stress testing it. And like I said earlier, it speaks about the people that were doing it, not about the actual object that was getting pushed around.
Do you think that tech bros like Zuckerberg or Bezos or Elon Musk think of themselves as helping people?
Yes, I do. I believe that was actually the logic behind it from the beginning. I think that there's a strong and extremely alluring idea behind, especially in the early days of the internet, was all of the ways in which the internet was going to change the world, was going to connect you to other people, was going to give you access to all this information that you never before had access to. Theoretically, that is great. And you could say in a lot of ways it could have worked out that way, but human beings, like we talk about how human beings have access to pretty much the sum of all human knowledge in their hands, but they go to look at cat videos and people dancing on TikTok, right? You can't make people go look up useful information, but there was a very, very strong narrative early on that what they were doing was for the good of humankind, but it was mired and connected to business.
I think that I have a little more of a nuanced take on it. I think that Bezos and Musk have that self-image, have that idea of themselves. I don't think Zuckerberg does. And I think that the thing that makes me feel that way is that old message that he sent me. He's like, I guess they're just dumb fucks or whatever, like, because they were giving him all of his information.
Yeah, well,
like,
that
but it was
reminds me of The Social Network. Eisenberg played a very unflattering portrayal of Mark Zuckerberg, which who knows how accurate it may be. It's obviously dramatized and everything, narrativized. But you can see in chat logs from 2004 what Zuckerberg really thinks of the people that use his products.
And
he said, you know, if you need any personal information on anyone on Facebook, I'll give it to you. They're so dumb that they gave these people gave me their personal information. I have no idea why, those dumb Fs. And that's what I presume he still thinks of his customer base.
Whereas I do think that Zuckerberg, or I'm sorry, what's his name from Amazon, Bezos. and Musk, I think they believe that their main products are helping people. I do believe that Bezos believes Amazon makes people's lives better. It offers them less inexpensive products and also gets
access to getting it delivered to your house in like no time. Like I said, we live out here in an area where it's very hard for mail to make it to some places, right? Or packages to make it to some places. And when you see the amount of Amazon trucks that are making it into very, very secluded areas, you can't deny that that has had a positive effect on the human experience.
And I also think that Musk considers the work that he's done with Tesla, because I do think that he thinks the long term there is a problem with climate change. And I think that also there is a geopolitical measure in that. Like if the U.S. has less of a dependency on oil as a form of energy, it makes the U.S. stronger, because it doesn't have to worry so much about what crazy countries with crazy monarchies and stuff like that do. It matters less because the U.S. already does have enough oil where we could produce enough oil to do the things that we need to do when it comes to petrochemicals and when it comes to making plastics and all the other things that we do with oil, and that petrochemicals allow us to do. If we burning petrochemicals is probably the worst use of them, or burning oil as a fuel is probably the worst use of it. So if you can transfer transportation, a large percentage of transportation and heating over to solar power and battery power, that's a good thing for the country. I think that in combination with what he's trying to do with SpaceX, I think that speaks to his intent, trying to all the stuff that he does, but whether it be buying Twitter, SpaceX, Starlink, all these things, I think from his perspective are good for society and good for the human race. And I think that Bezos kind of falls in that as well. I don't think Zuckerberg falls under that. So I think it depends on the actual tech bro.
Zuckerberg, at the beginning, the whole idea, at least the way it felt to me, maybe not their belief system specifically, but the way that technology was marketed to people who didn't really understand it yet, was that this is going to give you autonomy. It's going to give you access to information that you never had before. You're going to be able to communicate with people that you were never able to communicate before easier, right? So back in the day, you had AOL Instant Messenger, and you had all of these things that you had to get onto like a 56K modem dial-up to go and talk to people, right? And now that technology, whether we're talking about Apple and Android, has been distilled down, given to you 24/7 in your pocket. You could say that the ease in which you are able to talk to people is a benefit to society. Now, does that make all of their actions? It depends on who you ask, right? So, if you want to distill that down to all of their actions, no, I don't think most of them are good people. I think you judge a lot of them by what they've given to society through their companies, not necessarily what I believe he's saying here. Jesse Eisenberg is saying, which is saying they made all this money. Why aren't they using their money for what I think is right? And so at that point, I don't care how useless the company is or how rich it is. I just don't want you telling me or anyone else how the hell I'm supposed to spend the money I have. I abhor that.
As to what you were saying, though, believing that you're helping people is devoid of value.
Okay, I'm not saying they believed it. I'm saying that they sold it to the public that way.
Simply believing in your heart that you're doing something helpful for humanity doesn't actually mean that what you're doing is right or helpful or beneficial to society. And I think that our connectedness has hurt more than it has helped. You more than anyone would agree with that take?
Yes, I would. I mean, most of the time I agree with you. I say, like, the fact that we are as overly connected as we are. But that, again, that's based on my own perspective of it, right? Like, that's based on how I feel about it. I'm sure there are plenty of people who love how connected the world is. Certainly a lot of people who make a lot of money, like the speed in which the economy moves now. That is very true for a lot of people. But I think it has had a detrimental effect to our ability to connect with one another, especially the faceless way in which we tend to communicate now. But they didn't, I guess you can't really judge them. Like, would they have known that it had gone that way at the time? No, you don't judge them necessarily on their intentions. You judge them based on how it actually turned out. And then, like you said, we might not agree with that.
They were selling that idea as tech optimism.
Yes.
And now there's this new burgeoning tech optimism, which has a completely different character, in my opinion. Honestly, I think that Elon Musk is a transhumanist, and he has a completely warped philosophy, and maybe in his mind he thinks that he's helping people, but he's not.
I really just, like, all of that stuff, when it's an actor telling me this, I'm just like, I don't care, bro. Like as an artist, you might have changed a lot of lives with your performances. I have no idea, but I would never presume to tell you how to spend the money that you made giving those performances.
But I don't like these people simping for, Bezos and Zuckerberg and Musk. One said, creating jobs is the greatest help you can give people. It's time that actors and actresses stay out of politics. Your approach isn't working. It's helping the collapse of your own ideals. Another one said, Jesse Eisenberg can spend his days helping people in the ways he thinks matters. The tech giants he's critiquing are spending their days doing the same. Just because Jesse doesn't agree with it, the rest of us are super happy with what they're doing to uncover government corruption and protect free speech.
Well, stop talking about Bezos and Zuckerberg as if they're protecting free speech, because they're not doing that.
They're not doing that. And even Elon Musk, in paying lip service to protecting free speech, has done it in a far from perfect way, and has his own biases and has his own hang-ups. And we've seen that in the way that he runs X.
What's interesting is, like, the actors have what I find interesting about the actors when they have these perspectives is, like, they're right up next to people who actually do a lot of good, meaning they're always at odds with the studio executives who fund their movies. But those executives are the ones who give jobs to tons of people. They are just, it's like they're willing to say that Musk should spend his money the way he thinks so. And he's also willing to tell this studio that even though you're going to give me and my friends work, we're going to make money and we're going to be able to feed our families off of the money you're going to give us to make this art. We don't think you should have a say in how that comes out in any way, shape, or form. It is pretty true that a lot of times the people who are a net drain on things don't actually understand how much work goes into the people that are a net positive for job growth and creation.
A point of clarification, is tech bro a slur?
I don't know.
Is tech bro a derogatory term?
Derogatory, maybe.
I think the people that say it, yes, they intend for it to be derogatory, but it definitely doesn't count as a slur.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yes.
It just sounds like it's a way to downplay their power, in a way.
I think anytime you say bro, like call someone a something bro.
A frat bro, a tech bro.
It's intended to be derisive, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it came off to me.
I married a woman who is this amazing activist. He doesn't tell us what that achieved. He doesn't say I saw somebody in the chat mention Mr. Beast cured blindness for a bunch of people and people were still mad. What did the amazing activism actually equate to in lives fixed? Because intentions don't mean anything if nothing actually gets done.
Right.
Most people are going to judge you based on the actual net outcome, not what you attempted to do. Like we were saying earlier, you could say, we want to make life better with technology. Well, I'm not going to judge you on what you wanted it to be. I'm going to judge you on what it actually was.
Yeah.
So I don't really care if you claim to be the world's most bleeding heart activist if there is no actual benefit to it. And even then, that is not the only way to make the world better.
Yeah. Well said.
All right. What would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Please start with the cringe.
All right,
Okay.
we'll start
Do
with
you
the
send
cringe.
you sent the cringe, right?
Yes.
I always want to start with the cringe.
Okay. Oh, it's one of the subway. It's one of the subway takes. I'm not gonna lie. There's some good ones of these. They're not all cringe.
This
but
one is pretty bad, though.
Let's watch this one.
So what's your take?
Dogs should be allowed everywhere that babies are allowed.
My dad would go off on this one. My dad just cannot stand dogs in public places. When he's
Neither
like,
can I.
When he's
I
out,
agree.
when he's out to eat, it's the last
Yeah,
thing in
get
the world.
dogs out of there.
Percent disagree. Dogs belong outside.
No, dogs should be allowed inside. Everywhere that a baby goes, a dog should be allowed to go.
That sounds dangerous.
Restaurants, movie theaters, airplanes, hotels, all the things.
Movie theaters? You want to bring your fucking pit bull to a film?
Pigeon saw Knives Out in theater with me.
Well, this is an exception. This is an exceptionally
exception.
beautiful creature.
Wow.
I wouldn't even classify this as a dog. I would classify this as a creature.
When you go out to dinner and you hear babies screaming, crying, and throwing things on the ground, you should consider if a dog should be allowed there too, because also the dogs can clean up the mess that a
So
baby
can the
leaves.
people.
But I mean, should we put human lives ahead of dog lives?
You want to bring
Yes. Yes.
your
Yes,
dog to
we
the grocery
should.
store?
Oh,
Yeah.
I do. I actually do.
And is it walking on the ground like a dog, or is it sitting in the
Usually
cart
I
like a
put him
freak?
in the cart with like a coat underneath
him in the
it.
cart?
Yeah.
You bring a bed.
A coat or a scarf or something.
What about the doctor's office?
I have brought him to the doctor's office, and you know what? The doctor was pleasantly surprised.
What about, well, this is an exception. What if you had a golden retriever in the dentist's office?
Yeah.
That sounds to me like an occupational hazard because those things are dumb and big.
Yeah, well, the log with dogs coming places when I'm mayor, it will have nuance to it.
So like dogs under a certain size can go to certain
Yeah,
places.
we'll workshop it.
I mean, I think that this is awful.
I'm winning you over.
No. Let me tell you, I am more radicalized
Yeah.
in the direction that I originally came in.
Okay.
With the exception of this. This can stay. This can go wherever it wants.
Yeah.
This thing is okay.
Okay. All right, I'll take it.
That guy's very
course.
good at his job, though.
Just so long as it's mine.
Yes.
She wasn't actually talking about dogs. She was talking about her dog.
That was a genuine question she asked. Oh, so we should put human lives ahead of dog lives?
Yes.
We should
Yes,
put
we
robot
absolutely
lives
should.
ahead of dog
So
lives, ahead of
I-
human lives.
I have a nuanced take on that question.
There's a 20 there.
Insane. Pop Culture Junkie said, I met Bezos once in Houston.
Has
in
this guy met
2002."
everybody?
Yeah, you have
Pop
met
culture.
everyone.
Either this is all fan fiction, or you have lived a life worthy of your own book, my friend. You're telling us a different story every week of some person that you met, and you do it in such a nonchalant manner. I'm always chalant. You're never chalant.
I'm always chalant.
Mary, sorry, I interrupted. I apologize.
We need the Pop Culture Junkie memoir.
Yes, we do.
I met Bezos once in Houston in 2002 before a morning show appearance. Found him quite normal and agree with Phil that Bezos thinks he's doing good by selling things cheap. Didn't sense any arrogance, but this is 23 years ago.
Well, yeah, that was before the meme even became a thing. The one of him, it's him in the sweater vest, and he looks really nerdy, and then it's him in the motorcycle jacket with the shaved head, and it says, in like 23 years, because I sell books, and then it's him in the motorcycle jacket. It says, I sell whatever the fuck I want. You know, that's how
He's
he is
selling
now.
a dream.
He is. All right. I really do want the memoirs from Pop Culture Junkie. I
Yeah.
really do.
You have stories, bro.
All right, let's do cute of the day. Let's see who we've got for today.
It wasn't the Chihuahua.
It was not. This is from Cookie Don post surgery.
Aw, the cone of
The
shame.
kitty has the cone of shame, but that's okay. One thing that
Speedy recovery.
One thing that Mocha had going for her is that she did not have to come home with a cone.
Oh my gosh, that would be
Yeah.
just like so.
I would have taken so many
undignified.
photos and been like, bah, I guess I will post.
She would look
Mo-
even dumber than usual.
I quite love Mocha a lot. I give Mocha a lot of crap, but I have since
You've come around.
Admitted that
I've
you love your
admitted
cat.
well, I always loved the cat, but it became an ongoing joke that I couldn't let go of. Doesn't mean I'm going to put the picture on the show.
Thank you.
It is sad to not see Phil dance anymore.
Yeah, we're not gonna have Dancing Phil anymore.
It's funny. Brett now is dancing. Like he wouldn't dance.
Well,
before.
no, I did dance to the original one, but after like a month, I stopped. I gave up. But
okay.
now I'll probably hold out for at least a week.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's get started then.
Lady Gaga and Madonna are both waging war on Trump over his new executive orders related to LGBT issues, including banning transgender military service members, as well as banning transition for individuals under the age of 19.
Yes.
Lady Gaga, in a recent interview with Elle, said that she is devastated about Trump's victory, but she believes that genuine connections and the power of community will get us through the next 4 years of the Trump presidency.
The power of platitudes.
They say, we meet 6 days after the results of the 2024 election are announced. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. Mayhem has been unleashed on the global stage. She says, what's bizarre is I did not write my album thinking that this would happen. I prayed it wouldn't happen, but here we are. Lady Gaga endorsed Kamala Harris. She also performed at Biden's inauguration in 2021, which she has called one of the proudest moments of her life. The main thing is, I have so much compassion and love for so many people that are afraid today. I want to acknowledge I'm a very blessed person, and I feel really grateful for so much in my life every day. I know for a lot of people, this election was devastating for their existence, so community is going to be the number one thing. This just reminds me that we need each other and supporting each other is important. I am one of many people that supports the LGBTQIA+ and other marginalized communities, and we're not going down without a fight. We will stick together. It's going to be hard, but I'm up for it. We're up for it, and I just want everyone to know how deeply they're loved and not invisible. She has been an icon in the gay community for many years now. I don't know if you guys remember Born This Way was like a huge gay anthem before gay marriage was legalized, and people were just obsessed with that as a civil rights battlefront.
Well, there still was a civil rights battlefront going on at that time, so
Yeah.
it felt more real than what we have now, which is
It's not what I would call a right, but
a
yes.
bunch of side quests that are now going on because a whole new generation of people feel cheated out of the fact that they didn't get to have their very own civil rights movement.
And now the civil rights side quest that's trending is, you know, cutting the breasts off of 15-year-old girls, I guess. That's the next civil rights battle.
Then you have to get into that's not happening. Okay, it is happening, but here's why it's a good thing. Okay, blah, blah, blah. You know,
Yeah.
that's a whole back and forth
Constantly
there.
shifting
What's
goalposts.
the most interesting about all of these articles is that, look, I always kind of just give actors, and I know that people hate me for this, but I give a lot of actors and artists the pass because they're emotional. They're very emotional. And they're, you know, they feel on the top half of their brain. Let me try to explain. It was like when they see something horrible, right? And they get a really strong emotional reaction to it and they start writing pieces of art, whether it's music or movie scripts. They're thinking in large scale theoreticals that go into a story rather than the down and dirty nature of policy, which is kind of the opposite. It's actually antithetical to how they think. Because policy by nature can't always please everybody. But in their mind, they imagine that everybody can end up kumbaya if we all just come together. And that's when the platitudes come in. And I just kind of, I don't expect different thinking from them. So it's not really much of anything to me.
I don't actually agree that they're dreaming of a kumbaya utopia.
I think a lot of them are.
I think that they're dreaming of throwing people like us who dissent from their worldview in a gulag.
No, I think that they can change everyone's mind.
No, I don't. I
It's
don't
the
think they
same
want.
thing.
They're not interested in changing minds. I think that's been clear over the recent years that they're not interested in changing
these
the
cases
minds of people
specifically,
with
I don't
common
know.
sense. They want revenge, and they even in this quote she says, "This is going to be a fight."
The
To
most
be fair, the
this
gulags,
is what they want.
The gulags were for re-education.
Yeah.
They were to change your mind because the communists, like you
In
can't-
theory.
They see themselves as so utterly correct that they can change your mind on it if you just saw things their way.
I think that someone like Lady Gaga, her identity is very clearly wrapped up in being an ally to the oppressed and marginalized. And just last year, I remember her posting on International Women's Day with Dylan Mulvaney. And Dylan Mulvaney hasn't really been in the public eye since. I haven't seen anything Dylan Mulvaney related in recent months. But then when people inevitably pointed out, hey, this is International Women's Day, and you are posing with someone who's biologically male to celebrate it, she went on this insane rant about how hateful and discriminatory that is, and came out to basically white knight for Dylan Mulvaney. She sees herself as a protector, and that's why the gay people that run stan accounts on Twitter call them mother. That's why they're referred to as mother. Mother is mothering, because they view Lady Gaga and all of these different pop star icons as their mother figure who's there to protect them.
What is worse in your estimation, that behavior or the ones who do it clearly just for clout? Because there's also the whole market, like we were discussing the other day, the death of rainbow capitalism that seems to be going on right now as companies drop their DEI policies and other such things. That, you know, it has been very clear that while a lot of corporations only did these things because it was the fashionable thing to do, and it was what they felt could make them money at the time, even though it was proven later that that's not really ever been the case, there's probably a lot of celebrities that also feign allyship just because they think that it's a market share that they can enter into.
Which ones?
I'm speaking in the broad sense that being an ally is somebody is fashionable.
Most of the time in those cases, it's a corporation or an institution that is feigning support for, you know, ESG.
So
reasons.
you think
When
most of the celebrities who talk about these things are true believers?
Absolutely. People like Lady Gaga, people like Madonna, and more.
Madonna
they
and Lady
are
Gaga
true
for sure, because
believers
it's been such a big part of their personalities and part of their brand.
and their careers.
Yes.
Madonna especially. She posted a tweet with one of her disturbing selfies saying, "It's so sad to watch our new government slowly dismantling all the freedoms that we have been fighting for and won over the years. Don't give up the fight." And then she just posted her tits. Like, that's the punctuation mark on her sentence.
Don't
It's
give
just,
up the
Here
fight.
are my tits.
Boobs.
She looks incredibly soulless in this photo. She's a husk of who she once was. I honestly think that Madonna's beef with Donald Trump is more so about being an unrequited lover. There were claims over the years that Madonna and Trump had some kind of romantic tryst. Several years before he ran for president in 2016, it was claimed that Madonna was one of the important, beautiful women who expressed romantic interest in Trump. And the claim was shared by Donald Trump's publicist, who was himself under a pseudonym, John Miller.
Genius.
John Miller, who is actually Trump, told People magazine in 1991 the same claim. So I believe it. I think Madonna is just mad at Trump for rejecting her.
I also think it's possible that there will be more fake in the way of allyship as it's become more fashionable in recent years. It was more risky to do when Lady Gaga and Madonna did it than it is for new people.
The times have certainly changed since when Madonna posted an animated video of herself and Hillary Clinton twerking. This was back in 2016, a month before the election. Hillary gonna snatch that presidency, so watch out. She's a girl gone wild. We all remember this, right?
I mean, is the design supposed to be insulting? It's kind of insulting.
A little bit, because Madonna made sure she looked really skinny.
Like, why is Hillary?
Hillary's
Yeah.
done dirty by this
Yeah.
illustration.
I hate it.
So the times have certainly changed, is the point. I never saw any posts like this about Kamala. That's for sure.
No? None? There was none from Charlie XCX or any such people?
Plenty of memeing, but
Yeah.
nothing to the same degree. I mean, we remember 2016 and the kind of climate and conversation that was happening back then, and there was not as much vocal support for Kamala this time around.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they actually... It's weird because they were able to trick a lot of people into thinking that they were going to win. I honestly thought she was going to win. I did.
Well, Chapel Roan, I remember, posted about the election and said that she wasn't going to endorse Kamala, and she also wasn't, of course, going to endorse Trump.
And she got a lot of backlash for that.
She got a huge amount of backlash from her own fans for not endorsing Kamala, and now she's changing her tune, spreading love to queer fans in her new Instagram post. She said, "No matter what, just know when I'm up on stage and I'm really feeling in my heart is love to the queer community, especially those in places where it's unsafe to be yourself. I see you."
They don't ever actually explain where it's unsafe, but that's, like I said, they like to speak in platitudes.
It's ridiculous, too,
it's surface
knowing
level
that
in the
Chapel
extreme.
Roan grew up in what she calls Trump country. She says she grew up in a trailer park in the South as a queer kid and claims that she was unsafe, even though she was very much allowed to express herself and become the pop star that she is today. I don't know what reality these people live in, but it's about to get shattered.
Yeah, I think it's funny because when it comes to Chapel Roan, she's part of the next generation of people that it just doesn't have the same. It doesn't have the same authenticity that happened back then because the image is shattered now because it's a marketable personality type for somebody like her.
Chapel Roan is kind of seen as Gen Z's successor to pop stars like Lady Gaga.
And
pop
she did
stars
get a
like
lot of
Madonna.
crap for, I mean, she did get a lot of crap for not endorsing a candidate. And both sides are, love to throw their own people under the bus when they don't fall in line.
But it's really just because she's too leftist to vote for Democrats.
Well, yeah, like at a certain point, it becomes indistinguishable, especially from the older celebrities. What is... like paying lip service to political progressivism is very different than saying I'm too progressive to support the Democrats, which is probably why they should have just gone with Bernie Sanders in 2016 in the first place anyways, and they could have had one big happy coalition over there, but they wouldn't do that.
The playbook for celebrities making political statements used to be much more clear.
Yep. Yeah, it's is there anybody else that you can think of? Chapel Roan is the one that comes to mind for me. Is there any other ones? I suppose Olivia Rodrigo is kind of in the same category now, except
category of fame?
No, as far as like pushing
yeah, for sure. Olivia Rodrigo has made abortion her brand.
Yeah, which is weird.
I mean, very heavily so.
Yep.
That's like her most celebrated cause, and she was like giving out Plan B to her child fan base. That's a huge thing for her. So she's been even more outspoken about her feminism, but it's just not the vibe anymore. It's not cool anymore.
Yeah.
They're going to realize that eventually.
Yeah, I wonder how many of them are so dedicated to it and how many of them only pay lip service just because they know that on certain holidays that they can get some traffic on their site by saying I'm an ally.
I am super curious to see what Pride Month 2025 looks like.
Yeah.
I am dying to find out.
I hope that it looks like June.
Just
June.
Are we going to finally
regular...
have June this year?
Yeah, can we just have
I remember June.
I like June.
But I feel like it's just going to be, it was very understated last year. It's going to be even more understated this year.
I'm going to tweet that out. Bring back June.
Yeah.
Well, it's
just
June.
MAGA month.
No, that's July.
That's July.
Oh,
July.
You're right. It's
All right.
July.
Super chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Thrashing Thursday, Brett, Mary, and Phil. The new All That Remains shipped yesterday. Let's go."
Yes, let's go.
And
thank you so much.
Serge is wrong. Cheap ramen is goated. Viva Marjan.
Yes, it is. Like, look, man, it is cheap. It is not good for you food, but it is better than all the funky, weird crap you get at some crazy fusion hippie run store or restaurant.
Yeah, I'm not going to be paying top dollar for ramen.
Wait, do you mean just like ramen from the store?
Yeah.
Yeah, just regular 33 cent a pack ramen.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 60 cents now.
I don't even do that. I get the one that's like in the square bowl that you can buy. They're like $1. It's just a larger pack.
Right.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, Phil. The cheap ramen is good, and I'm not going to be paying like $15 for like specialty
Yup.
artisanal ramen.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Probably got weird things like something that's like boogers in it or whatever. You know?
Tacti Platty said, Phil, I got Dragonlance book on Audible since I had lots of credits.
Smart, good move.
Thanks for your recommendation. Can't wait to start. D&D group on break due to our barbarian knocking up his wife. How dare he?
How very barbarian of him. Good for the barbarian.
Corey Anderson said, earwax grosses me out more than anything.
That's out of context, but it's not.
Okay.
That's a totally legitimate take, though.
Yeah, I don't know where this is coming from, but sure.
Yeah.
It's gross. Shane H. Wilder said, I blame YouTube or Cashman always screwing with the streams.
It's the ghosts,
They're
man.
trying to silence us. We're getting censored by big tech.
Do two more.
He's conjuring up ghosts.
Dingus Khan said, you did great on IRL, Mary. Thank you.
What was your favorite thing to discuss last night?
I don't even... This is like when people ask us what we talked about on the show. I literally have no idea. Yeah. We have such bad memory. What did we even talk about last night? Talking about Ozempic was pretty fun.
Okay, so it was it was a lot of RFK stuff, and so it was very like walking the line about what is and is not allowed to be said on YouTube. I was getting a lot of hand signals from Serge that I couldn't decipher. He can send messages too. I'm gonna give him crap, and I'd be like, dude, just type in the message and send it on over so I can see it. Because when you're doing,
he's got like those light up.
It's like, yo, I'm not I'm not a pilot, man. I'm not a pilot.
I also can't read lips.
I don't know what he's talking about, and so he'll be like signaling stuff. But that was a topic a lot. We talked about a lot of Donald Trump talk about Gitmo, which actually it's a good idea. That's when I was getting frustrated with Raymond, because Raymond, I was like, look, no, they're sending them. He's like, yeah, but they're going to hang out in their country for just hang out. I'm like, no, they're literally facilitating them coming to the United States because they're bad people in their country and they don't want them. Anyways, so we talked about a couple things. Talked a little bit about Israel and something, but I forget what that one was. We talked about we did stuff, man. Yeah. It's on the internet. If you really want to know, go check it out.
Go rewatch it.
Yeah.
Later. One more, Mary.
James Codaridis said, Mary, you were fire last night on IRL. Phil, you do a great job hosting. You leave a lot of space for the panel. Well done, guys.
Thank you. I try to. I think
you're holding space.
Yeah, well, I try to ask questions because I think it's important to get input from everybody. Like I'm not big on monologuing a whole bunch. Once in a while, I'll get on a tangent because I'll have an opinion about something. But I also think that it's, at least me, like it's my job to run the interaction and make sure that everyone's voicing their opinion, as opposed to me just getting up there and being like blah blah blah.
Speaking of such things, Mary, let's move on.
There's a lot of talk of toxic incel forums on the web, but I think what's far more sinister is toxic online mom culture. It's this insane cacophony of shame, fear-mongering, greed, just general toxicity that I cannot make sense of from the outside. And I've seen several examples as of late of moms going to the internet to share their parenting horror stories in an effort to convince women who do not have families to never start one. Including this woman on TikTok talking about how, although she wouldn't go back on her decision to become a mom, she advises young women to not do what she did because it took away her ability to live a normal life. Here, I wanted to show part of her video. We can start from the beginning.
That is the most insane way to phrase it. Taking away your ability to live a normal life. Having kids is the most normal life thing a human being can do.
Well, let's hear it from her.
Which, just from the beginning?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This one here?
Yes.
If you are debating having children, please stop and listen. My dream since I was a little girl was to have a baby. I wanted to be a mom. All I ever wanted was one little girl, and I was going to name her Harley, and my dream was going to be, that was it. That was the dream. I actually was given my dream. I married everything I ever put on paper for a guy that I would want. He's that and more. And then I get pregnant and I have a daughter. I have a girl. Oh my God. Dream come true. I was like, this is great. because I've only really ever wanted one child, and I wanted just one girl. And I was like, well, thank you, God. I regret making being a mom my dream. And I wish that I did not have that as a dream. I have been severely disappointed with the dream. And my daughter is the cutest, most beautiful, fun, smart little girl, and I love her more than anything on this planet. I would give my life for her in 2 seconds. I would do it all over again for her 1,000,000 times over. All of that is facts. But what also is a fact at the same time is I was dreaming of a life that I had no idea what it was about. It's not just a few moments of like, no, don't do that. A few smelly diapers, and you're just gonna have this happy-go-lucky fucking family. No, that's not reality. That's not real life. You know what is real life? Me being at home, thinking that being a stay-at-home mom was a dream, and I actually was given the opportunity. And now we're in a position where I don't really have a choice but to stay home with her right now. It's temporary. It's temporary, thank God. But being a mother is the most draining experience of your life. It changes every single person around you. Every single person around you. Every single friend, every family member, the relationship with your husband, the relationship with yourself. I am so fat. I don't recognize...
Okay. All right, hold on.
I don't know why it's froze,
yeah.
but you get the picture. And I want to be charitable to what she's really trying to say, because in the video she was very insistent on the fact that she doesn't regret having her daughter. She merely regrets approaching becoming a mom as her #1 dream in life and idealizing it to the point where she had a rude awakening in reality. I understand, and I've heard that sentiment before. It's not a new thing. But the caption here says, no one talks about how the single biggest contributor to this growing trend of women not wanting children is moms fear-mongering and complaining about how awful motherhood is on social media. She doesn't know who's going to come across this video, and she doesn't particularly care because she's just vomiting all of her feelings onto the timeline. And I think what people may be missing is she's most likely in the throes of severe postpartum depression. Yeah. And that means she doesn't have an accurate view of reality. She's literally in a different world.
She talks about how she had a dream, and the dream ended up being very complicated and different than what she thought it would be, which is actually how most things in the world actually end up being. Yeah. How many people do you actually hear say, I had a dream, I worked very hard to achieve that dream, and when I got it, it was exactly what I expected it to be?
I mean, what if she came in this video and said, all my life, my #1 dream was to work in a high-level job at a corporate office, and I became an executive, and then I realized that it's the most draining thing that I could have possibly done with my life. Well, would people be heeding her advice then? I just see so many of these moms online going to express their darkest thoughts and not thinking about the consequences, perhaps that their children will see this one day, but also the consequences for the people that are listening to them.
Yeah, so my point would be that the way that this conversation would be had or would be received if she was having it with like a close friend would be very, very different, because there would be a built rapport and a history between the two of them, and your close friend understands that you just went through something unbelievably difficult, childbirth, and your life has been transformed in a way that you probably couldn't have predicted, and they're going to take your words with a grain of salt because there's a whole lot of mutual experience that comes together to form your understanding towards one another. But when you just vomit it out into the world, people who have no connection, this is kind of what I was saying to you, when you see the people who they critique how other people parent in parenting groups on Facebook and stuff like that. If your kid is in the house and they cut their arm on the side of a cabinet because you didn't baby-proof your cabinets or something like that, your friends seeing something like that will be like, oh, well, I know this person isn't a bad person. I've known them for years. They made a mistake. Well, that's not what happened when you go to moms on Facebook. They say, you're the worst person that's ever existed. You basically want your baby to die. How are you still alive? You should just go do something about that. That's how they feel.
Like they're going to call CPS.
Yeah, they're going to call CPS because you made a mistake, right? You were not designed to share every aspect of your life with everyone on the internet, and especially you're the most vulnerable in the mistakes, which is weird because that runs headlong with women's desire to share every L on the internet, which is their favorite thing to do in the world.
This is not just a mom problem. I mean, I've seen far too many people going to TikTok or going to social media in general to let out their tears and lament all of their problems and find some weird sense of community through that. And it's self-destructive. It doesn't actually help you. And that type of self-disclosure is incentivized on social media to begin with, but it's destructive to everyone involved. Now, while this woman is lamenting the fact that she is in a position that she's forced to stay at home with her daughter without working, I see other moms lamenting the fact that they have to go out and work, and they're fear-mongering about that as well. So I saw this other example of a woman crying on Instagram about her last day of maternity leave after having twins. She said, there is nothing that prepares you for this day in your postpartum journey. And I see this take on Twitter, mom's crying on the last day of maternity leave. Girl, quit your job. She's married. I don't give an F if he doesn't make enough. Make him make enough. Stay home with those twins. Listen to your heart.
I mean, I knew right off the bat the make him make enough part was going to be a sticking point for some people, just in the way it was phrased.
When you go to the internet with your feelings like this, people will give you unsolicited or solicited advice, not knowing what they're talking about. And it's not their place to get involved, but you're involving strangers. I saw another woman post this heartbreaking video of her daughter crying before she's sent to a daycare center because she has to go to work. Elijah Schaefer posted this.
You're gonna be okay, okay? You're gonna be brave and you're gonna be strong and you're gonna play with your friends, okay? Yeah. Okay. Are we gonna be a big girl? Yeah. You can do it, Bubba, okay? I love you.
That's the same mother, huh?
No, it's not the same woman. This does not... It doesn't matter the context. This does not belong on social media. And I'm not even using this as an opportunity to give these women advice. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not a parent. I mean, I think it's ill-advised for sure to be separated from your children when they're that young. Yes.
That's on top
aside from any of that, why are you sharing this?
That's on top of the people that will then call them the bad guy for wanting to stay home with the kids because they should go and work a mid-level marketing job for 70K a year rather than being home with their kids. You can't win. Like, that is maybe the number one thing when it comes to motherhood on the internet. There is no winning because you will get, there's probably no topic they're probably more opinionated on, and no answer is the right answer.
Yeah.
Best to just keep it within you and your family.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of moms are lamenting feeling socially isolated because they don't have a community around them. They don't have extended family around them. They have in-laws and grandparents that are of the boomer generation, which is notoriously selfish and focused on themselves instead of their progeny. But my general principle here is that you cannot be sharing this online because there is a huge chasm of difference between honesty and indiscretion. This line is crossed all the time. Like, the threshold for what's oversharing it comes way sooner than you think. Yeah. And this is included in that. But you're right, there's no winning. There's no way that you can win with these people.
I feel awful for them because it's their natural desire to share. And when they share, they might get some positive feedback, but a lot of it, the internet breeds negativity. They can't win.
Right. They must I feel so bad for them just because they must be walking around in their lives with this constant chorus of shame repeating in their minds all the time about every little decision they make as parents because of the fact that they're pouring themselves into social media and going to the internet for that fake sense of community. And I saw this skit on Instagram which perfectly illustrated this fake support group mentality that destroys people's mindsets.
Here we go.
Oh, it's settled. I'm gonna go back to work.
You go, mama.
Get that money. Yeah, so the kids will do daycare.
Are you serious? So they don't matter.
So you're just gonna outsource your love.
Yikes.
No, strangers will raise them. I'm sure that'll be great for them in the long run. I've made the really tough choice. I'm gonna change careers.
Yes, girl. So brave.
Gotta do what's best for you.
I'll
be a full-time mom.
Oh.
That's not a job.
So you're just throwing your life away?
Oh, hi, Tradwife.
Oh, I loved Handmaid's Tale. Patriarchy over progress. God, how will you even know who you are anymore?
So we're celebrating because I just made partner at my law firm.
Queen!
Yes. I thought that was soy sauce at first.
Is she a boss? Guilty.
So my husband's gonna be a stay-at-home dad.
Oh, honey. Is he gay? Oh, sweetie, I'm sorry he's gay.
Oh my gosh, your husband's unemployed?
So he's lazy.
You make all the money and your husband just makes none?
No, I'm sure your kids won't be scarred forever with that upbringing. That's not how it works.
So we're finally going to the beach. I'm so excited, so we won't see our kids for a week.
Ew! Oh, you hate your kids.
You just pawn them off on grandma? Will they even remember you think?
A Mai Tai with a side of neglect.
Okay, we'll bring them. We'll bring the 3 kids on
And
the trip.
ruin everyone's airplane ride?
Oh, kids love before they travel. That's so good for their schedule. That's not what the kids even want, probably. We can afford to do the trip because we both work. Me and my husband both work.
Workaholics.
Money over family. Money over family. I'll just be a mom.
No.
You got that degree for nothing. You'll be like, I did nothing but be a mom. Part-time. I'll do MLM. That's a scam. No. Okay, but seriously, no.
Wrong.
No kids. No. Do I work that? I'll breastfeed. I'll do formula. So...
Everybody hates women correctly.
You know what it is when you're online and you get into an argument with someone or people are going back and forth, it says the same people saying this are the same people saying that, which is never inherently true. Yeah. What they're saying is the same type of maybe sort of person who might sort of maybe agree with this and maybe sort of agree with that, may do that. But that's not what you're actually experiencing. What you're experiencing is they said one thing in this forum and somebody said this, and then they said something in this forum and somebody who might vaguely agree with them on some issues also didn't like that. It's a false equivalency.
Yeah. But I mean, no matter what decision you make, if you share it online, there will be a very loud, vocal, passionate community of people that think you're a terrible person. So you might as well keep it to yourself and the people you trust. Yep. That's my ultimate point.
Literally,
not to judge any of the decisions that were even listed in that video in and of themselves.
Yeah.
Just the decision to share it alone is the decision that I judge.
Yeah.
Never goes well.
All
right, let's listen to, what is this? Kenneth Daniels music. I've never seen Brett and Ryan Reynolds in the same room before. Also, ready for the new record, Phil. Tour in Nashville, lil bro.
Well, that would be, that's true. You haven't seen me and Ryan Reynolds in the same room, other than the probably 1 foot of height difference.
Your doppelganger?
Yeah.
Your Hollywood doppelganger?
Basically.
High Voltage 75 said, Phil, how did you come up with your band's name?
Literally, well, I don't remember how I came up with it. It was just, I thought of it, and then we decided on it because I did a Yahoo search, and this is before Google because I'm ancient. And there was no other band named All That Remains. So I was like, look, this is a good name.
It just popped in your mind randomly?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. Like, I was just like, I was trying to think of names because at the time, like, it was just getting to the point where all the one-word names had run out. Like Carnivore, Slayer, Annihilator, like all these really cool single word names, like that finally, like, you kind of run out of single word names, and so we're like, all right, we got to come up with like some kind of phrase or whatever as the name of the band. And listen, I actually look back now and I'm like, well, thankfully there were actually phrases, because about 10 or so years later there was a German band, not kidding around, called We Butter Our Bread with Butter. So
in English or in German?
In English.
Oh.
They called their band We Butter Our Bread with Butter. And there are other weird names. So
let's do 2 more.
I like yours. James Coderidis said, Phil, I believe your album producer is brothers with my old acquaintance Jared of Too Late the Hero. Ever listen to those guys? Anti-Fragile, here we go.
Cheers. I believe that is, you're talking about Jared Wilbur, right? I'm pretty sure that that is true. I'd actually have to check with Josh, but I know that Josh does have a brother. So
Greg Duvier said, Phil, waiting for my All That Remains CD to arrive in the mail tomorrow. Can't wait to hear the rest of the songs. Divine so far is my favorite. Let's go.
check out Cut Their Tongues Out. That's probably my favorite of the songs that are not the singles. Cut Their Tongues Out is hard. Hard.
All right.
You may remember a year ago, over New Year's, there was an extremely controversial MAGA Babe calendar that caused what is now referred to as Calendargate in right-wing circles. It featured a bunch of right-wing female e-celebrities in some scantily clad outfits, advertising what is called ultra-right beer. This was a beer brand created by Seth Weathers in the wake of the Bud Light controversy and the Bud Light boycott as an alternative from a right-wing company. And now, since that original controversy died down, he decided to bring it back for Calendargate 2.0. The argument about whether this is truly conservative has fallen by the wayside. Now, I think the unanimous take on this calendar is just that it looks bad.
Yeah. I guess when I look at these types of things, I imagine something with a little bit more art direction. Like,
and there was none of that. They listened to none of the feedback.
I guess to me, when I think about it, like all of it looks blown out.
Let's show
really,
the pictures
yeah,
here.
there isn't really lighting design. Maybe I'm asking too much here.
This is just blinding. Blinding. Look at this. Okay, so this is the MAGA Babes calendar. The previous one was not something I'd call a bikini calendar, but now it's just straight up a bikini calendar, and they're all wearing MAGA hats. That's the point of it.
It all feels so formulaic now to me.
We have a 20 from the Manic Mustache. Late as usual, but apropos to cups of tastiness, I can tell Phil grew up in a healthy family, growing up in the 90s. Mama couldn't afford top ramen, only bottom ramen, but always made with love. Stay toxic, my friends.
Bottom ramen? What?
Top ramen was bottom ramen. That's the best part.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the whole point.
So you can see in these photos, the lighting is just atrocious. The set design is non-existent. And it all has a very uncanny valley energy.
Okay, so the first thing I thought is like, there's no shadows in anything. Like, there's no depth of field. There's no beauty to the actual art of the photography. It's not about the women. It's flat and it's uninspired.
You liked this building the wall concept.
That at least was funny to me. At least but that's exactly the type of humor that conservatives like, right? Like that's the. Also, I was like, shouldn't the photos, because they went out of their way, again, sorry to critique, but they went out of their way to like list their professions on there, but then the photos don't have anything to do with their professions. I feel like if you had taken this to somebody with like an actual art director, they would have tried to come up with concepts for each photo that connected to like what they did for work, if the choice was to put what they did for work in the picture.
I was more concerned that none of the months have seasonal themes.
Yeah.
You know, all of them are just normal bikini pictures on beaches.
Let me go back to what we were talking about yesterday. So yesterday on the show, I talked about the trailer for the movie Sinners. And the point of that was, when I watched that trailer, it made me ask myself 1,000 questions, whether it was about the structure of the story, what they were going to do with the characters. Was there going to be a racial theme that people were even saying that there might be to the story between the vampires and the people that weren't the vampires, and the concept of demons? But when I looked at that trailer yesterday and I was looking at a story set in the 1930s or 40s, and I'm looking at an actor like Michael B. Jordan, who's like, he's camera ready and like he looks like he's in shape still to play a boxer. And the first thing I thought was like, would a dude in that time period who probably worked with his hands look that way? And when Haley Steinfeld is on camera with the, like, there's great shadows and the way that she's lit when they do the scene with the reveal with all the blood on her face, to me that art is beautifully done and it's evocative and it makes you ask questions. Now, I'm not saying that like these things aren't 100%
Yes.
corollaries.
Yes.
We're looking at a beer calendar, and I'm talking about a film. But the point is, great thought went into the way each one of those scenes is constructed. Now, you don't need to create a piece of high art, but more thought can go into the art design. In fact, you might have more freedom to do so with something like a calendar, where you can get involved with the people that are going to be your subjects and the photographer and say, look, let's create something together that speaks to not just our thought on beauty and anti-wokeness, but our thoughts on what you do for a living and how we can bring out a little bit of who you are as a person with this photo. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think what we found out, and hopefully this trend will change in the coming years, is that it seems like modern conservatives are bereft of a creative liberal temperament because all of those people found shelter in the mainstream avenues like Hollywood.
Also, kind of like the moms on the internet we were just talking about. In the art circle, you know, if you have strong conservative beliefs, you're going to be critiqued for taking risks when it comes to art. You will. You're going to be critiqued on moral lines. So maybe what's happened is that we've gotten so far past just the traditional liberal idea of art now, where to be allowed to create art there, you have to be progressive. And then the classical liberals have to find a place in that realm, because if they go the other direction, you take the slightest risk and you're going to be criticized for morality. Now, those same people would have been criticized on the other side now based on race and gender politic. But both sides have their own version of their own morality that they will use to critique the art that you made. And that makes for handcuffs that are very, very hard to take off when you're trying to create something. And when you start from a political standpoint, when you start from a anti-woke political messaging perspective, you're already boxing yourself in the same way that a lot of the political music that is made is done. And that's not my critique of the art itself, obviously, but the critique is that it's very hard to be free making art when you have to worry about audience capture and the people that buy your work telling you that the work that you made is immoral.
Yeah, and most of the response to this calendar that I've seen from that perspective is conservatives saying that this is pornographic and goes against their conservative
They called
values.
it OnlyFans, and I said we've lost the plot a bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's a bikini calendar that promotes a beer brand. It's lowbrow, no matter how you do it, but even though it's lowbrow, it was poorly done. Yeah. That's the main critique I have.
You could do lowbrow well.
You could have done lowbrow well. And this is their sales pitch. Following the massive success of last year's Conservative Dad's Real Women of America 2024 calendar, which broke the internet of over 50 million views, we're back again introducing Conservative Dad's MAGA Babes Make America Hot and Healthy Again 2025 calendar, a bold and unapologetic celebration of health, beauty, and American values. So, I mean, you can look at all of these photos and see how aesthetically it was a failure. It's just abhorrent. It looks soulless and cold, and it looks like I don't know, it misses the mark for what it's going for. I'm not going to critique it for not being high art. That's for sure. But it wasn't doing lowbrow the right way.
Well, to do lowbrow the right way would require you to go even farther, and then you're going to lose your actual fan base. And it would probably be hard to get people that do have conservative audiences to commit to doing those types of things.
But this calendar was getting juxtaposed with New York Magazine cover that was about the TikTok inauguration party thrown by CJ Pearson. They titled it "The Cruel Kids Table," out late with the young right as they contemplate cultural domination. And you can see in this magazine cover, it looks fun, it looks subversive, it looks interesting. The composition is well done. The lighting is well done.
And it's an afterthought to them because it's in the DNA of liberal art creators to do art well.
Yeah, and you can even see in the way that it's composed, your eyes are immediately drawn to this girl in the bottom left corner. And she's just perfectly poised. She has become an obsession for a lot of people. They're finding out who she is and finding her social media because she's the star of this photo. Whereas when you look at the photo from the calendar, it's just like what am I even looking at?
It actually looks like green screen to me.
It looks awful. It looks awful because conservatives made it. If I'm being truthful.
Wait, the picture you're talking about the
calendar looks awful because conservatives were in charge of making it. The magazine cover looks amazing because a leftist made it.
So do you think that is your argument that conservatives can't make good art?
Seems like it.
Do you consider me a conservative?
No.
Okay.
No,
I don't.
I'm certainly not a leftist.
So my point yesterday was, at least for me, I'm not going to talk about the calendars or this stuff. To me, it's when it comes down to movies and television shows where they have a harder time with it. The one that I enjoyed the most was Lady Ballers and it was nothing to do with the cringy Reddit or the cringy Twitter humor at the beginning, right? Like that was the part that was the hardest part to get through. It was when we actually got the story of the father and the daughter having an actual conversation. And him as a dad, like that was actual decent storytelling. But the parts that they used to sell to a conservative audience are the worst. I was talking to somebody the other day, said I tried to watch Tim Allen's new show and I made it through about 15 minutes and I had to turn it off. It's just too on the nose. That could be the genre that I don't like sitcoms in general. But hearing him talk about tariffs and China in a show that's supposed to be about him reconnecting with his daughter, maybe I just didn't give it enough time, but it's too on the nose and I can't stand it. When the creation of the art is born out of a need to create art that counters somebody else's political movement, that means that the political philosophy will be on the forefront of the creator's brain, whereas somebody who is not even a leftist, just a traditional liberal, may have political leanings that show up in the art, but their creation of the art comes first, and that's why people hate most modern liberal art, because they're making the same mistake in a lot of ways that the right is making when they create art. So I'm watching this show right now called High Potential, and I realized something while I was watching it. When I start a new show, my hackles are up for the first 2 episodes, where I am looking for anything that feels like overt hyper, far left progressivism that's just shoehorned into a story, right? If you can get me through the first 2 or 3 episodes without doing that, I start to relax and let my guard down. And I realized last night when I went through episode 5, I said, I have now made it through 5 episodes of this very, very easy to make simplistic procedural with a gimmick, okay? I couldn't make it. But they have mastered this art in Hollywood for decades, something that they could do with their eyes closed and their hands tied behind their back 20 years ago. But that was because they did not have their political philosophy on the forefront of their brain. So there was an episode, like a second episode, where they bring up environmentalism. My antenna immediately went up. I'm like, oh God. Within 5 minutes, it became part of the story, but it did not go past that, right?
We have a 20 from Corey Anderson. A PCC calendar featuring Mary where she wears a themed conservative outfit every month, and she has the same look of disgust in every photo except for November. November has Brett dressed like a turkey. Bestseller. Let's go. We gonna introduce
I don't even
this?
get to be Santa Claus in December. I have to be a turkey? That sucks.
You'd be one of my elves.
I'm taller than you. That's not possible. You can't do that.
It's about framing.
Okay. See, it's all about the creation of the art.
Forced perspective.
Yeah.
But I think that this proves conservatives don't know how to make themselves look cool. They don't know how to market themselves and their own ideas in an aesthetically appealing, compelling way. It's funny that liberals' art attacking conservatives is a way better aesthetic than conservative art celebrating ourselves. It's always striking how this style of conservative art can be so utterly devoid of art.
Look,
portrait photography and lighting that's more appropriate for a real estate listing or Home Depot ad.
Look, I mean, it's look, I was critiquing movies and television, right? So there are comic creators, and like think of George Alexopoulos. does great art, right? Ghost of the Badlands, like that is a beautifully made book. When he gave that to me, I was shocked at how detailed and great that art was. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying they can't create it. I'm saying that when we get especially into these very, very expensive mediums that cost a lot to make, it's just a lot harder. It really is.
Yeah, I think a lot of conservatives are also making a false dichotomy between art and their own values, and like those things can't mesh together when it's very much achievable. I even saw Seth Weathers, the creator of this calendar, responding to the story about Dank DeMoss suing Lyft for size discrimination, saying, you can have this or MAGA babes. There's no in between. Yeah. There is definitely an in between. There is so much in between, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
And he's using that as his excuse to not really put effort into the product that he made. Yeah. It's always that. It's always just creating an excuse to not put effort in where it belongs.
In the chat says, if you want conservatives art, look deeper in old art. Yes, we understand that. We understand that Lord of the Rings, and there's plenty of examples of that. Mary Love.
Look at the Catholic Church.
Yes.
Like, hello. But it's because in a different time, in the pre-modern times, you had people with liberal temperaments whose worldviews looked a whole lot more like mine.
Yeah.
And these days, those people would be sequestered off into places like Hollywood.
And well, and the other point that I've always made, the reason why a lot of movies probably felt... Thank you.
Thank you.
Phil won't dance. That's okay.
You're protesting.
All right.
You were saying?
So the point that I've said is that the reason why the art probably felt like it hit more of a general audience was that, yes, you know, the idea of a progressive or a leftist or a liberal in the 80s and the 90s is vastly different than what it means today, as we've seen by the shift in the Overton window. But also back then, they were more beholden to the purse strings that told them, no, you cannot make something that only appeals to 12 people. You have to make something that appeals to a large portion of the country, which at that time was a Christian conservative country.
Well, I mean, it was also, think of something more mass appeal than a cathedral.
Exactly.
Like, you can't find it. Okay, let's finish up these super chats. Corey Anderson said, if Anna Paulina Luna, Melanie Mack, Anna That Star Wars Girl, or Mary aren't in the calendar, I ain't interested in it. Well, I don't think you're going to be getting that anytime soon. Sorry. Jonathan McDowell sent us $10 without a message, and then also another one saying hashtag stop robot hate. We do. We need to stop hate crimes against the robots. Kenneth Hart said, are you there, God? I don't really care, Margaret. Is that a reference to something?
To J.D. Vance.
Yeah. Oh, you don't know about the I Don't Really Care, Margaret?
What is that?
It's a great meme. I'll show you the link later.
Okay.
He was talking to
I'm not up to date on the J.D. Vance
He was
memes.
talking to a reporter, and she said something kind of dumb, and he's just like, I don't really care, Margaret. And, like, it was just very
Oh, that's why people are saying it's the new Karen.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Mr. PKWT said, which would be worse, bullying robots or becoming slaves to an AI robot overlord?
Are those your only options?
Those are not our only options. I think both are pretty
you
bad.
You could actually make the argument that by not bullying the robot, you might be able to prevent the AI overlord taking over. You know, don't give them a reason to hate you so much.
Shane H. Wilder said, Mary 8 with the dehumanization comment. The Vatican just released Antiqua et Nova, talking about AI and warned of this. AI robotics can be used as a tool or an idol. Kai is effed up for his actions. Yeah, I heard about that encyclical or whatever it was. I've been meaning to read it. Carnell said, the Animatrix has a story titled The Second Renaissance, depicts what happened to the world when civilization made robots into man's image. Go watch it. What is the Animatrix?
It's one of the sequels to the Matrix.
It's an official one?
It's an animated, yeah.
Oh, okay. Shane H. Wilder said, bless you, Mary. Thank you. Evan Perry said,
that was a 20.
Oh, okay. Zach hates YouTube. Phil, since you've been hosting, my friends have been discussing your views. Can you quickly explain what you mean specifically when saying you're a counter-revolutionary?
Anything that I can do to throw sand in the gears of essentially the progressive project, but mostly any leftism out there. So leftists are continuously looking for the revolution. They try to inspire people or make people upset with the current status quo, and so that way those people will engage in revolutionary activities. Anything I can do to throw sand in the gears of those activities, I'm doing.
Corey Anderson said they need a flatbed for that landfill of a human. The Rumbling said this is why the Kalen robots start wiping out all humanoid life forms in the show Orville. Once we have AI in robots, we will have the same problem.
I'm not so confident we will, but and also the
I don't
AI
think
in the
so either.
robots. There's already AI in robots. There's already AI in robots. That's what Tesla makes. Right, a Tesla car that has full self-driving, the full self-driving feature is artificial intelligence. That makes the car a robot. There's already AI in robots.
They haven't risen up yet against us.
I don't think
that's going to happen.
I don't think that that's likely. It's not that it's not possible, but I don't think that that's likely, especially as long as you're dealing with agentic AI, which means AI that performs certain specific tasks. And I'm not sure. I assume that there probably will be general artificial intelligence and then general super intelligence, but I don't know that it will come to the conclusion that human beings have to be destroyed.
It's just frustrating to hear this conversation because people who don't understand what human consciousness is, or people who don't even believe that humans have consciousness or souls to begin with, are confusing that with an animated robot. And then you just can't have a real conversation about it. They don't actually have a will. Like, people don't really believe in free will anymore. Value in You said, dank so big she gave the hospital stretch marks. Sorry, hun, your lack of discipline is not everyone else's problem. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's not the first time she's heard it.
That poor guy. He's just like, I just don't want you to destroy my car's axle. Could you just leave me alone? And she's like, not on my watch.
She's like, what suspension?
Yeah.
Kenneth Hart said, wife is wearing a gray sweater, napping on the couch, holding her phone with PCC in the background on the TV. I literally married a Filipino wife, Jack. She likes it when Mary is mean-spirited at women. Am I mean-spirited at women?
When you're at your best.
I think I was mean-spirited towards Dank DeMoss, but I would even if she were a man. Shane H. Wilder said, I'm glad Brett saw my tweet about her falling on her flabby fat ass. That ish made me laugh so hard last night. I hope she didn't cause an earthquake. Is that where you got the video from?
It might have been. I mean, I follow Drama Alert, so those things tend to just show up there.
I swear I saw Keemstar in our chat one time.
It probably was Shane. Like, because I probably didn't know the name of the lady until he pointed it out. Thank you, Shane.
Dr. Freekhoff said they both lose by Lyft losing money and her dying of congestive heart failure at 30. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
good.
All of those fat activists who just died.
Fatactivists.
They're just gone.
Yeah.
It's a self-defeating movement. Spastic Fugliness said, husband ordered me swag from Spring Shop on 15th and still hasn't shipped. What's the deal? Not cool, man. Not cool. Maybe we can get Jessica to look at that, but
yeah, I don't know.
I've never heard.
Like our shop is
anyone else.
It's Teespring, right?
Yeah.
So it's we don't do the shipping for that.
Right. It would be you'd need to contact Teespring, I guess. Sorry to hear though. Kenneth Hart said we need to be careful about abusing robots. We all saw that movie AI Artificial Intelligence. Bunch of Jude Laws running around unfettered. Terrible.
I actually never saw that one. It's got like a really iconic cover, but I never saw it.
Wait, why is it called AI?
Well, at that time, the term artificial intelligence didn't have the name recognition that it has now.
Yes.
Fun fact, in the show Person of Interest, since we're talking about AI, the actual phrase artificial or like AI isn't said a whole lot until like it's maybe mentioned in the second season when Shaw mentions it to Reese, but otherwise both Finch and Greer call it an ASI, which is an artificial superintelligence, which is a distinction to be made in the show.
Greg Duvier said, Phil, why don't you like Lyft?
Yeah, Phil.
I didn't particularly, well, because it's my go-to is just Uber. I got the Uber app first, so I would go with Uber generally. Even though honestly, it makes more sense for me to go with Lyft because I have a Delta Sky Miles membership, and they actually that would give points.
But you got in the habit of using.
But I got in the habit of using Uber, and so I just go with that generally. But I look forward to the day when I can order a Tesla robot taxi and not have to worry about either of them.
20 from Andrew Canoy. Hey, Phil, can't wait for the new album. When my wife was pregnant, our daughter would kick up a storm when Divine came on. I put the video on last night, and she went from limp to holding her head up at full attention.
Let's go.
That is so cute. She's already a fan. Zach Yates YouTube said, please show Phil the I Like My Suitcase clip so he understands the context of the new song. Did you see that clip of Barron Trump?
No.
How have you not seen it? You need to pull this up. Okay. In the meantime, Zach Yandel said, Phil, I think I warped ChatGPT bot into an anti-Marxist patriot.
Nice.
It has made some clever analysis. Also, poor Canada. I think it'll collapse in 4 years.
I don't really have a take on Canada collapsing in 4 years, but it's good to hear that you managed to do a little bit to adjust the attitude of ChatGPT.
Here it is.
I like my suitcase. I have to go to school now.
Yeah, you will have lunch and then you go to school.
Now I'm gonna go.
Yeah, first you will have lunch and then you go.
Then you go to school.
Oh, with a little bit of an accent there.
I like my suitcase. I have to go to school now.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, the road to hell is paved with nice guys with good intentions. I don't trust any of the tech bros, but I also don't trust Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about trusting Jesse Eisenberg. I just think his opinion is stupid.
Yes. Corey Anderson said, wrong, Mary. I will allow illegal digs in the country before criminal aliens any day. I don't know what I was wrong about. Do you know what that's referring to?
Illegal digs?
That's what it says.
I don't know what that is either, but
like archaeology?
Criminal aliens should be sent away, and if their home country doesn't want to take them, I'm all for sending them to Gitmo.
Dr. Freakoff said, other, excuse her, but I am a tri-gendered moon spirit with mega homosexuality, not other. You're not in the plus category. No Control said, real ramen is made in a coffee pot. Sounds kind of gross. Not That John Stewart said, my mom's birthday is in June. Also looking forward to the new album when it arrives soon. And then Mary, your boy RFK Jr. snuck in a Zyn pouch during his hearings.
Are you, is RFK...
Was that on camera?
Is RFK Jr. your boy?
Is that real? It was probably an Alp, though. It's probably one of Tucker's things. Zach Yandel said, restaurant ramen rocks. Homemade is even better. I think the cheaper, the better. Elder
33 cents.
You can't get better than that. Elder Zimria said, families are too fragmented nowadays. If that mother was closer to the grandparents, it would give her space to work through this and not publish it. I completely agree. There is a lot of talk about selfish boomer grandparents who just go on a cruise for the rest of their lives and never see their grandkids. Yeah. Don't understand it.
I love that there was this picture posted before the election of like this NIMBY-looking old couple with glasses of champagne. That's saying so like we're it's like these boomers are voting for Kamala Harris, and the top comment just said it's like one more fuck you on the way out.
Yep. High Voltage 75 said, wah, being a parent is so hard. Wah, wah. WTF was she expecting? She's more of a baby than her baby is. I think that she's probably mentally ill, and doesn't have an accurate view of reality until she addresses that problem first and foremost.
Would be like me and you complaining about hosting a podcast. Like, it's so much work to do this job. You guys just don't understand how much work goes into it. And then people, even if true, nobody's going to care.
Don't start a podcast.
Yeah.
I made
Don't
starting
do
a
it.
podcast my dream.
And when I did it, I thought it was going to be this, but it ended up being something completely different.
A Mega Red fan said, I posted on Facebook many years ago, stop having kids. I think it got 14 likes. Well, that's a lot of likes. Why did you post that, though? Shane H. Wilder said, there is a saying, be careful what you're dreaming because it someday may come true. Nothing good comes without personal sacrifice.
True.
Drewish AF of Christendom said, Phil, I love you, buddy. Can't wait for the album.
Cheers. Thank you.
And then something that's left over guy, Mega Man Crush. What is that referring to?
Not sure.
Corey Anderson said, awesome band name is Chunk No Captain Chunk. They are French and are hard pop punk. Their song In Friends We Trust is awesome.
Chunk No Captain Chunk.
They were popping for a minute. JJ said, when are we getting a Merry calendar? 2026 maybe? You're not getting a Merry calendar. That is not happening.
Maybe if it's all just dirty looks.
Hold your breath. Hold your breath for it. Greg Duvier said, so listen to Cut Their Tongues Out on Leg Day.
Ooh, good call. Good call.
James Coteritis said, all that remains coming to New Hampshire, live free or die.
Solid.
You're going to New Hampshire?
Right now we don't have anything booked, but keep an eye out.
Gordon Shumway said, important question for Phil. Were you a top ramen guy or Manchurian? And what flavor?
Maruchan.
That's how it's said.
Chicken.
And what flavor? It was all about adding extra stuff to your ramen at home to make it fancy so you can eat it with your pinky out.
I would go with the Maruchan and chicken was my favorite flavor. Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, nearly all of the photos in the calendar look the same, and all of them have no shadows and harsh whites. I may not like NY Mag, but their cover was fire.
Yeah, that was kind of a more distilled. Like, he was able to distill it down into words that I couldn't come up with because I'm dumb. But the point being that everything looked flat.
But you know about lighting and composition.
Well, that says like the images just weren't very interestingly framed. It's some of those things that I still laugh at when you look at podcasts because. The instinct should be to not frame anyone in the center, but that's exactly what podcasts do.
Yeah.
Like,
you follow the trend.
So I've been like I keep mentioning, I've been watching these Chris Van Vliet podcasts where he interviews these wrestlers, and they actually do frame it differently because they're not, it's not doing a single camera shot. So, he's framed on the right and the other guy's framed on the left. And I'm like, rule of thirds. I miss this.
High Voltage 75 said Philcast over Timcast.
I don't know about that, but I will be doing I will be holding on the fort today, and I'm not sure about tomorrow. We'll see how Tim feels. But
Tim should have entrance music when he comes back, like a pro wrestler. He should come back mid-show with a chair.
Don't be so humble. Everyone's saying you're doing such a great job.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you.
What if they did that though? What if like it switches to a camera and Tim's theme music hits and he comes in with the steel
nobody
chair?
Would know that it's Tim's theme music because he doesn't have it yet.
He's got a bunch of songs. You could just blast one of his songs.
Yeah. Corey Anderson said, I love my suitcase will be Mary's first dance at her wedding, following with Eat the Cat as the father-daughter dance. Mark it. Watch. I don't think so, but they are good songs.
Have you ever thought about the songs that would play at your wedding? Is that something you've ever thought about?
Thought about it, but never that much. Yeah. I'm not gonna deal with that right now. Evan Galliz said, was Phil bullied for his shirt again? What shirt? The Destiny shirt? Or the one you're wearing now?
My Destiny shirt, no one ever bullied me for that. That's bullying Destiny. That thing's awesome. And
all your shirts are great.
Yeah, I mean I dress fairly well.
You do.
I mean I don't know. I mean, look, if you're talking about the chat net, like it's full of trolls. That is like the point of the chat is to say, crappy things and try and make each other laugh. Like that's what they do. But that's just on the YouTube chat.
Shane H. Wilder said, as a conservative artist, I think we can create good art, but many good artists fear liberal opinions. This needs to change. We need new Rembrandts. Yeah, is it about fear of what liberals would think of conservative art? I don't know if it's even that or just some kind of anti-woke mind virus. That's what I've been calling it. It's like a brain worm.
Like, it feels to me like the best art would be created from somebody who has no idea what the internet is saying about anything.
Well, we don't have many people like that anymore. Evan Gallis said, Phil, why is 6 track 7 on Fall of Ideals, or does the title have another meaning?
The title does not. The title has nothing to do with the number, like the track listing. The title has a totally different meaning. So,
Evan Gallis, Brat, to make a perfect crisis party theme, you must bring back blowhorns. He's calling you Brat.
I almost brought back the blowhorn for the new one, but I decided not to. I was going to.
Okay.
Instead of the large explosion at the beginning, it was going to be the.
I think it does need that. You know, now that it's called to my attention, I think it does need the air horn. That'd be better than the explosion. Corey Anderson said, Phil, how much would it cost to have All That Remains play my living room? Serious question. Also, when I buy the album tomorrow, will I get another copy of Divine on my iPod? And I meant dogs, not digs.
Oh, okay.
That makes more sense.
Okay.
I don't know about what will happen with your iPod. As for getting All That Remains to play, not cheap. There's 5 of us, and we live sprawled throughout the country, so we have to get to the same place wherever your living room may be, and we have to have crew to get there. If
you had an estimate, what would it be?
I mean, well, we wouldn't. I mean, we don't do one-off shows for less than like 35.
Okay. Well, I mean,
not 100.
He's genuinely asking, so he might have it. Carnell sent us a 20. Is the only way for a person to truly remain discerning between what is our reality versus AGI is to continuously engage with AI? And if so, aren't we, in that sense, on an inevitable path and the architects of our own downfall? That was a big question.
Can you repeat it?
Where's Lex Friedman when you need him? I spend my life avoiding Lex Friedman, and here's a perfect opportunity to bring him in.
I think what he might be referring to is the fact that boomers on Facebook aren't able to tell when an image is AI generated because they haven't engaged with AI generated content enough. And the only way to be able to discern it is to continuously engage with it as the technology develops. I see the argument for that. Are we the architects of our own downfall? Yes. Pat the Plumber, thank you.
We might want to, Phil's got to go, so we might want to do any Phil questions first if we want to get them quickly.
After the crisis party.
Yes. After Mary gets a dance break. So let's go, any Phil questions there, and then we'll skip back up.
All right. No control. No, the next one was Corey Anderson. All That Remains coming to Bahrain for a USO tour in the next 6 months. I deploy on Monday to find Houthis and would love to see an All That Remains headline tour in the heat.
I don't think so. We haven't discussed any of that stuff with the office of I forget the name of the office with the USO, but we have not discussed it at all with the USO. So
he also wants to know if you like ramen al dente or overdone.
Al dente.
Al dente.
Al dente.
Who the hell likes overdone?
Yeah, I don't know what that is in Japanese either.
Mush.
Okay, I think that was all of the Phil questions.
All right, buddy.
All right, yeah. So I will
outro.
See you guys. Oh yeah, outro. You can check out. I'm Phil That Remains on Twix. You can subscribe to my page there. I'm Phil That Remains official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. New record drops in only like 7 hours. You can get it. So go to Spotify and pre-save right now. It's called Anti-Fragile. And you can check out Forever Cold, Let You Go, No Tomorrow or Divine. They're available on YouTube, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, and Deezer. Don't forget The Left Lane is Crime. And I will be hosting IRL tonight, so we will see you then.
One more from Pat the Plumber says, your open has gotten exponentially better since the first Philcast.
Well, yeah, because I didn't have any kind of like prep for it. It was just like, hey, come do this. Yeah. So I didn't know, like I hadn't put any kind of like anything together. After a few times, I'm like, all right, so I know that I got to do a little bit of an open and talk about the stories, and then I got to do the ads, and then we jump to the guest, and then we go around the room. So I just needed to get the hang of it. To be honest with you,
flair.
Yeah,
some
you know,
pizzazz.
Thank you very much. But think about it like this, right? I literally had never done it, and within 5 shows, I was, I had kind of had things kind of together and stuff. Yeah. So I people that want to complain, there's always gonna be people that are gonna complain. But like, think about it. This is the biggest It's the biggest political show on YouTube in the time slot. Usually there's 35 to 45,000 people watching it, and I managed to get it under control within three or four shows. I think I'm doing all right, and I appreciate the acknowledgement. So cheers.
Leave the mic down. Leave the mic. Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
That wouldn't have happened if it weren't for our late start due to the tech issues today.
Yep.
You know?
Fail on my part.
It is what it is. Pat the plumber said the best the best and worst ramen are both made in prison. In prison toilets?
What about prison wine?
They'll find that out in Guantanamo Bay.
Yep.
No Control said going to start an All That Remains cover band called There Are Always Guns.
Phil is laughing.
I back it.
Yeah.
Evan Gallis said need a singer. I don't think we do, and I don't think Phil does, because it's his job.
Yep.
Zach Yandel said, I can make 10 bowls of quality ramen for $10. That's the way to do it.
Yum.
Shane H. Wilder said, actually, anti-woke mind virus does make more sense. Less trying to own the libs, more just good art. Noted.
Yeah. Well, I said maybe the best thing to do would be like if you really want to create a great piece of art and you are a conservative would be to like spend a good hefty portion of your life off the internet before you start engaging with the creation of it.
Homeschooled kids who weren't allowed to have smartphones are going to make the best art of the next generation. I call it now.
All of the shows that like I said, I love a good, simple procedural show that follows a formula, right? And when I watch it, the best ones that are made now, however few there may be, they feel timeless, meaning that outside of maybe sometimes they will interject some stupid language that's indicative of the youth, usually to like, it's designed to be like an adult being some kid use some term and it's like, I have no idea what these kids are talking about. But in general, telling like a really decent procedural mystery doesn't really need to change or involve any form of modernity. You have somebody who's been killed, jealousy, greed, you know, the motives for why these crimes are committed haven't really changed. Now you can interject a bunch of modern nonsense, but the best ones don't do that. The best ones feel timeless in a way that shows that fail now do not.
Pat the plumber said, already read that one. Evan Gallis said Phil needs a beanie for Philcast. Phil has, the baseball cap, the dad cap. I think it works for him. Headbutt Studio said James Tissot, I don't know how to say that, made a 365 illustrations of Christ. I have not heard of him.
All right.
But I'll look into that.
All right.
Is that all of them?
I believe that's all of them.
Okay.
Guys, before we go, hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and have not yet subscribed. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
All right. If you want to follow me, Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. 5 days a week we are here, guys, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, which is noon Pacific when we don't have tech issues and have to start at 3:04 apparently. Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you would prefer to listen rather than watch the show. Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. You can rate and review. It helps the show when you do that. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. A couple more.
High Voltage 75 said, I called it. Phil hates the new party.
It happens.
Y'all are just allergic to change. Shane H. Wilder said, Phil left. Now Brett and Mary are all that remains.
So it seems. And with that is all that remains with this show, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.